had a spike because of the whole, domestic violence sheltering in place. You've got all these people that are, locked up with each other. But at the same time, I would think, if people are living locked up like this, they aren't gonna be mad at each other the whole frickin' time. So, what do you attribute to some of this, my friend? You're the expert.
So how do I attribute the lies? Well, because it's a great way to make money. Because a lot of people in Congress believe the claim, and so under the you recall there were two big COVID financial packages that were rushed through Congress, and one of them had a huge millions of dollars that went primarily to abuse shelters, because again the claim was, well, because of COVID, women were trying to flee their abusers and go to a shelter. Well, it's just not true. It just didn't happen. But they got a lot of money nonetheless.
We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here on our big program. Everett Bartlett is with us. NTODB.org. And he is joining us today. He is talking with us about domestic violence over the past 30 years. A global disinformation effort has been conducted with devastating effects on all sorts of people. So talk to us a little bit about this whole thing, my friend, this disinformation campaign.
Well, I'll tell you, James, the first dead giveaway from all of the hysterical claims that were being made last year is that all of them described male abusers and female victims. Well, right there, that's a tip-off that the information is biased. And I say that because the Centers for Disease Control actually does a survey called the NISVS, which stands for National Intimate Partner and Safety Survey, that actually gauges the level of domestic violence across the United States. And according to the latest report from the CDC, and this is all on their website, I can give you the link and all that stuff. According to the latest report, here there are 4.5 million male victims and 3.2 million female victims. Now that sounds to me like there's a lot more male victims than female victims, and that comes from the CDC. It's the best numbers we have, but when they talked about all these, supposed spikes last year of domestic violence, it was always a male perpetrator that they were talking about.
We have got Everett Bartlett with us today. He joins us live here on our big program, and coast to coast, border to border on iHeartRadio today also. AMFM247.com. So what has been the major issue that you've saw as far as what you guys are trying to tackle?
Well, so let's look at the root. Where do these half truths and falsehoods and lies, where do they come from? Well, so there are many people in this country who believe that the root cause of domestic violence is not alcohol or a marital breakup or childhood trauma. They don't believe that at all. They believe the real cause of domestic violence is men's need for patriarchal power and control. Right? Let me say that again. Patriarchal power and control. And I try to say that with a straight face because, first of all, there is no such thing as the patriarchy. And second of all, the studies that have looked at why do people engage in domestic violence is things like anger management, impulse control. It's the sort of common sense issues. That's the cause of domestic violence. It's nothing to do with patriarchy.
We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here on our big program. Everett Bartlett is with us. So, how did you end up in this organization? How'd you end up working for these folks?
That's a great question, James. I have never committed domestic violence. I've never been accused of domestic violence. So it's not like I have sort of a personal, call it axe to grind. The reason I do this is because I just happen to believe in concepts like truth and justice. Call me old-fashioned if you want to, but I believe in truth and justice. When I see people telling an outright lie, that kind of bothers me. So I see so many lies in the area of domestic violence, and I only touched on 2 or 3 of them. It can go on and on about what these lies are, and I'll give you another example. So again, this domestic violence has nothing to do with patriarchal power and control. It's related to the things I mentioned about alcohol abuse and so forth. Now, if I told you, and this is Centers for Disease Control, if I told you that the group with by far the highest rates of domestic violence are same-sex female lesbian couples, would that surprise you?
No.
Well, exactly, it is. And, lesbian couples have the highest rates of domestic violence, which again disproves the patriarchy theory, because I've never met a lesbian who claimed to be an upholder of the patriarchy. But for example, there was just a horrific incident just a few days ago. It was in New York City. There was a female member of the NYPD, and she was in a lesbian relationship, and she came home one day and discovered her girlfriend was in bed with another woman. So she pulled out her revolver and she started to shoot. And she shot her own girlfriend in the chest, and she actually killed the other woman, the girlfriend. Her name is Yvonne Wu, W-U. That just happened a few days ago. It's outside of the narrative, but this is the thing. These are the things that happen. But the domestic violence establishment simply refuses to acknowledge that piece of the puzzle.
It is Everett Bartlett with us today. He joins us live here on our big program, and so you have just an amazing background here. Talk to us a little bit about what your organization does, so folks can be aware of what you guys do with domestic violence and everything.
Yeah, sure. So again, the organization is the Coalition to End Domestic Violence, and thanks for sharing the URL, end2dv.org, and our coalition is a policy organization. We don't provide direct services with a hotline. What we do is we work with lawmakers to make sure that domestic laws are based on science and not based on gender ideology. And when I say gender ideology, I'm referring to this theory of patriarchal power and control.
Fantastic. Everett Bartlett with us today here on our program. So, what are some of the goals for the organization over the next couple months?
Well, since we're in Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we have a campaign going on right now that's just focused on time to tell the truth, and we have a page on our website that highlights that, and we actually are working with like-minded organizations in 8 other countries: Canada, England, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, Portugal, and so the myths, the domestic violence myths, are not just in this country; they're widespread across the world. So these other groups are working on exactly the same problem, because when you have a law that's based on ideology, it turns out that the law is not successful. It's not effective. There's no evidence that the literally millions of dollars that our country has spent under what's called the Violence Against Women Act, there's no evidence that it's actually reduced domestic violence. And that's pretty troubling.
We have got Everett Bartlett with us today. He joins us this week here on the Quad Pod. So what's been some different things your organization has accomplished over the last couple of years?
Well, the things that we have accomplished is that right now we're focusing on the problem of over-incarceration. By over-incarceration, I'm talking about men who are wrongfully arrested, and that's especially a problem with black men. Black men are especially susceptible to being wrongfully arrested for domestic violence.
Yes.
And so we're just this month, we're mounting a national campaign to address that. We're developing actual legislative language because everybody knows that black men are subjected to injustice in the criminal system, but many people don't know exactly why. Well, domestic violence policies that always point the finger at the male, that's a big reason why black men are being thrown in jail far more often than they should be.
So what exactly are you guys been able to do to help curb that and get information and everything out about this?
So that specific campaign is just beginning this month, so I can't point to any specific accomplishments. What we have done in the past is we have succeeded in blocking bad bills that have been proposed, especially in the Congress, bills that are based on the gender ideology. We succeeded in explaining to lawmakers why the bill is not based on science, and it would probably do more harm than good.
We have got a tremendous guest of this today. Everett Bartlett is with us. He joins us live here on the Quad Pod. So as we wrap up here with you, my friend, how do we get in touch with you on social media, Facebook, all the various places to get your message?
Yeah, sure. So I'll first give you our email address. It's on our website also, but I'll give you our email address, and then I'll give you the name of our Facebook page. So the email address is info@n2dv.org, and the two is the TO, not the number 2, and info@n2dv.org. And then our Facebook page has an interesting name. It's called Domestic Violence Legislative Project. Domestic Violence Legislative Project. If you go there, you'll see that we post stuff there pretty much every day to keep people appraised of what are the latest, especially political developments. Right now, the Congress is debating the Violence Against Women Act to do a reauthorization. So we're very engaged in that conversation.
Good stuff. Well, I appreciate you making time for us today. Thanks for doing this, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you, Everett Bartlett. Appreciate it, brother.